Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface and welcome back today to part 15 of this Williams Resurrection career on Motorsport Manager. We're back today with the Brazilian Grand Prix, the Rio de Janeiro Grand Prix, which is the closest I think in this game that you get to the real life equivalent of the track. This track pretty much imitating the Sao Paulo track in real life. One of my favourite tracks in fact in real life to watch racing on, so hopefully we're going to have a good race here. Like the last race in Phoenix, top speed is crucial here, so maybe we can get another good race where Kubica has another really good performance due to a couple of the cars going a little bit wonky with their strategy, the AI cars, and due to Kubica having a really good start to the race. He ended up in a really strong position, 4th place by the end of the race. That would have been absolutely amazing in going for what we wanted to achieve in getting above Force India, but as you can see, the Force Indias had a really good race themselves. Sergio Perez in 5th, Esteban Ocon in 8th. That meant that they actually finished that race with more points than us. That means they have gone ahead a little bit more in the championship. They are now 23 points ahead of us. Whether we can pick that up over the next 3 races, I don't know, but 5th was not something we were aiming for at the beginning of the season. We have just sort of moved up the order recently, with mainly down to the engine, it seems, recently over the last couple of races. Early on in the season, it seemed like, how many points finishes did we have up until like the 6th race in Canada? I think we'd only had 1 points finish up until that 6th race in Canada, which was a really good performance from Kubica, where he got onto the podium, the only podium of the season. But for the first 6 races, we only had 1 points finish. So it's a little bit out of character. I'm guessing pretty much how that last race went. Either it's due to us having a really good qualifying session, maybe that is down to due to the engine, or I'm not sure. But we had a really good qualifying session, which then allowed Kubica to get that really good start and move himself up the order. Whether that was just an anomaly, that really quick qualifying lap from Kubica and then that start, maybe we're going to struggle a little bit more. I wouldn't be expecting us to finish 4th again. It's just whether it's just something out of the blue like happened early on in the season in Portugal, where we got that 3rd and then it's like a long stretch again before we had another performance like that. Whether that's going to happen again, but that's just what we have to watch out for in this race. The engine that we started building on the last episode is not going to be completed until after the race, and then we're just going to focus on the rear wing. I don't think we're going to have much time to work on all else. Regards to the performance of the car, we're still working on a couple of bits now. We're getting all these risky parts ready for next season, so they're going to become the base part heading into next season. We don't have a lot of time to work on the performance of them. 29 days after the race, we've got the last Grand Prix comes around Phoenix, and that is in 35 days time, and then there's about a week on from that, so we've got about 42 days until the end of the season sort of email where you move on to the next season, and that is where it's going to take the stats for the base car. So we're sort of running out of time. We might have to forego improving all of these because we've got a really strong engine building at the moment, which is what I want to get ready for next season. So that will become the main part we're going to go for performance wise. Then we've got some rear wings which don't have much performance increases. We can pretty much build the base stat and won't have to do much to it. So the car is looking good for next season. Currently rated 9th overall. We're aiming to be somewhere around the Renault McLaren as in regards to car, and obviously the drivers should be better next season. Maybe not moving up that much because we're going to be keeping Sorokin a 3-star rated driver. Not the best sort of rating you can have for Formula 1. And we've got Esteban Ocon, who should be around a 4-star rated driver. We upgraded the wind tunnel and the test track, mainly down so we can improve the stats of Esteban Ocon. We can progress him nicely to his potential because the overtaking corner in his feedback are the worst of his stats, and if we've got the test track, we can improve his overtaking stat a little bit more. The wind tunnel will help with his feedback stat as well. So hopefully we can get Esteban Ocon progressing, and we can get him up to being at least a 4.5-star rated driver, and maybe get him to his full potential of being a 5-star rated driver. Whether we can do that with the Williams team, because our HQ is not the best, but we might have enough strength in the HQ to be able to do that. Well, we're just going to move ahead anyway to the Rio de Janeiro Grand Prix. We're going to leave Lance Stroll at home again like we did in the last race. And there's not many races now where we can do our usual 8-4-3 because next season we do have pre-distributed tyre compounds. So I'm guessing it's going to be 5 tyres across each of these, which means we'll have to hold some back. And it looks like we've got rain in qualifying as well. So whether that's going to mess up the AI or not, I'm not actually sure. I don't know why this is only showing 16 races here. Round 15 of 17, but it's only showing 16. Maybe that's the length it can go. Yeah, I think it's just probably the length that it can go to because in the base game it is a 16 race season, so we just ignore that bar at the moment. Part fitting, both guys are happy with the car. Kubica's a little bit happy. I think the engine is better in his car, so he's got the 989. He's a 30-point better engine. Yeah, we'll just leave everything the way it is at the moment because Kubica's our best chance at scoring points and propelling us to be able to beat the Force Indias. So we're going to jump in now. I'm going to do practice off camera as usual, but we'll be back in a second to go through qualifying. So practice is over. We didn't seem to do too badly in practice, although as we know, nothing really carries over from practice to qualifying because everyone's running different tyre simulations using different fuel loads. As we can see, the rain is not coming until past the halfway mark of qualifying, so it's not going to disrupt the order too much here. So we're going to do as we usually do, wait for a few cars to come out of the pits, and then we'll start sending our cars out. Sorokin first, and then we see the Mercedes, so we see the Red Bull, then we'll get Sorokin out, wait for him to exit the pit lane, and then as usual we'll send Kubica out to follow him around the track. So Kubica's going to come out. With the rain coming later on in the session, we're going to follow what the bottom 5 order do, since we're the same as those. We're going to be doing 2 straight runs in a row pretty much, just because I don't think it's going to dry up before the end of the session, and it's going to put us at a disadvantage with like the Haas's and the Saubers and cars like that. And I'm not quite sure how we're going to do in qualifying here, so we've got to be a little careful, because when we were on equal tyres at the start of the practice session, we seem to be about 18th and 20th fastest. Whether we're going to be able to pick that up during qualifying, both our guys pretty similar this time as we saw in the last qualifying session. Kubica was a long way ahead of his teammate, but they're more evenly matched around this track, so I don't know whether it was just the track they were on last time. Kubica was doing pretty well, or whether it was down to do with the form. Sorokin's on good form. Kubica's form's good, but not as good. As we see, there's still about 2 tenths between them, but we're slowest at the moment. And I don't know if we're going to be slowest as we keep seeing these other cars. I think Sorokin's still going to be slowest. And as we see, 18th and 20th. A pretty terrible qualifying session for us here, but we're going to follow out the bottom 5 order. And this should be our last run in this qualifying session. We're not going to do a third one because then we've got an advantage over the computer, and that rain's not going to stop. So the top 10 order is possibly going to stay as it is. There's going to be no difference between Vettel and Hamilton. It's going to be raining when they send their cars back out on track. Can we see either of these guys? Overheated tyres for both. Perfect overheated there, and Kubica does a pretty decent job. So can we go any quicker on this second qualifying lap? Everyone else is going quicker at the moment, so it looks like we're going to be stuck at the back here unless we can go any quicker. We seem to be doing around the same as last time. It looks like we're not going to be able to pick up any place. We're going to improve the time, but we're not going to improve position 20th. Kubica's been knocked down to 19th as Ericsson goes quicker. And are we going to be able to go any quicker with Kubica? No, we're not. No, yes we are. Just look at that. 7/100ths of a second or thereabouts. Not even that, 6/100ths of a second. But 18th and 20th, a pretty terrible qualifying session here for us in Brazil. We're not going to be coming back out again during this qualifying session, so that is it for us. We'll be back in a second to go through the official grid order, and we'll pick things up from there. It is a 28 lap race. We're not going to do any sort of aggressive strategy here. We're going to stick to a plain and simple one-stop strategy. We can do that easily with the soft and then onto the super soft. Would see us through about 31 laps. That is obviously the best strategy for us. Maybe we can do something a little bit different with Sorokin. No, we'll go soft with Sorokin. He can start off on the harder tyre compound because he's at the back. Kubica, he can start off on the softer tyre. He's going to get in first and try the undercut on the rest of the cars around him. He'll have about 4 laps on a fresher tyre to try pick up some, pick up a little bit of distance to try and get something out of this. We're going to go for the soft trim on both cars because that's the tyre they're going to be on the longest with each car. So we're going to go for this soft performance increase and the race trim increase. Driver strategy, what's the weather like today? It's 28 degrees. It doesn't look like there's going to be any rain. It said it was going to be a dry race, but there's rain in practice and in qualifying. So there might be a chance of rain at the end. No, I won't put Kubica on these soft tyres. It's going to go way past lap 18 before there is any race. So everyone would have to make a pit stop anyway. We do have to watch the tyres if we do want to make this one stop work. But we do have a little bit of room to push. But anyway, as usual, Vettel and Hamilton on the front row of the grid. Vettel in a lot better form than Lewis Hamilton. Vettel a long way ahead in the drivers' standings at the moment. Valtteri Bottas third, Danny Rick in fourth. Then we've got the Renault of Hulkenberg fifth. But as usual, he qualifies high up. He'll probably be outside the points again by the time of the end of the race due to Renault taking a really aggressive stance on their strategy throughout the race, which never works out. Raikkonen is in 6th, Max Verstappen struggling still in 7th place, not quicker than the Renault today. Romain Grosjean in the Haas in 8th place, Carlos Sainz in 9th, Stoffel Van Dorn in 10th in the McLaren, beating out his teammate for possibly the first time this season. Pretty poor form from Fernando Alonso all the way back in 11th. That's not like him. I think he's 4th in the driver's standing still this season. Kevin Magnussen in the Haas in 12th. Sergio Perez in the Force India and his teammate alongside him, Esteban Ocon, our main target for next season's #1 driver. Still with that dodgy neck at the moment. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to pick up the points today that we need to get above Force India, so that sort of race is almost over now. 8th row of the grid, we've got Pierre Gasly, Brendan Hartley in the Toro Rossos, Charles Leclerc in the Sauber in 17th, then our drivers in 18th and 20th, and Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber on the 10th row of the grid. So hopefully we can get something going from the start here. Hopefully we can have a nice good start of the race. Maybe if we have a decent start, Kubica's off, so we'll get him into overtake mode. He's quick off the line, so if we get him into overtake mode he might be able to make a few passes. So Sorokin as well, really quick off the line as well, but held up by Ocon a little bit, not doing us any favours obviously. And what was that? That was someone flying through the cars, and that should have been a crash, but he just went through the cars. But anyway, it's worked out for us. It let Kubica get that inside line, I think, and he's up to 15th. Sorokin 17th now as Ocon tries to go down the outside. No, Sorokin set the quickest first sector of anyone in this race so far. We're going to go down back on the fuel as well. We don't want these to get overheated. We can still push for a little bit. We still want to make this one stop work. I'm guessing a lot of these cars at the top of the order are going to go for a 2-stop strategy. Carlos Sainz with the fastest lap on that first lap. What did we do? A 125 point. He ended up slower than Kubica even after that quickest first sector. As it stands at the moment, 16th and 7th. No, Sorokin's dropped back, hasn't he? I thought he was still behind. Is that no? Yep, he's 19th. Kubica. And we're going to have to go back on these tyres. So he's currently in 15th place. Up the inside, 13th place even now. Get past Ocon. There. Pretty easily, this engine working out for us. We should be really strong around this part of the track and this part of the track. If we can sort of make things stick around there, then we're into... we should be finishing quite well with Kubica. He's doing a really good job again. Sorokin still struggling at the back of the order on this soft tyre. Hartley in front of him. He went off the road and has come back, so I don't know whether Sorokin made a mistake, but he was really slow on that last lap by about 2 seconds slower than Kubica. We'll just go ahead and see if he's that slow again, and then we'll try change up his strategy a little. There's not much room though if you want to get him towards the end of the race. We want to be careful on this super soft, and then if we've got room we can push on the soft later for Kubica. Meanwhile we just need to sort of keep things going at the moment. So Sorokin has managed to get back in front of Hartley. What's he like on this lap? A 125.8, so he must have made a mistake or got held up being overtaken by Hartley on that last lap. Someone was holding up, so we can just keep him going as he is. His tyres are going to start overheating soon. We don't want that, otherwise we might not get to the end. It doesn't look like there is any rain coming, so we can sort of forget about that. Within another 5 or 6 laps we can forget about any rain coming. As always, a small chance, but nothing that would affect the race too much. Sorokin has moved up Leclerc, dropping down the order. 13th for Kubica sets his quickest third sector of the race. He's losing ground to Perez at the moment, who's on the softer compound tyre. What do we need to get to it? About 18 laps to go, another 6 laps on this, so we don't really have that much room to push. So whilst we're in sort of a lull now, we'll try recover. No, we'll keep pushing with the fuel. If we've got a lighter fuel tank, then that obviously helps us, and then we'll try regain that fuel as late as we can. Sorokin, meanwhile, struggling. We'll get him pushing for a few laps just to see if we can move him up the order and he's not being held up by this Sauber of Ericsson. I don't think we're going to be able to do it, but obviously down the straights we should be a lot faster than this Sauber. And there we see the Mercedes power in this car easily gets us past Marcus Ericsson, so we're going to go into conserve. We'll flick it back to high mode briefly just so we can stay in front. And are we gaining or we're losing ground to Pierre Gasly in front? But that's a decent position to be sat in now. We're not being held up by the Sauber, although now it seems like we're holding up the Sauber as we've edged back into conserve mode just to try cool these tyres down a little bit. We don't want them fading away before the 18th lap. Well, actually we need them to get to maybe about lap 16 is the earliest. I want to try and make them stretch to 18 if we can. Obviously the soft can get down to 0%, but if they run too hot then they're going to degrade really quickly. Kubica, meanwhile, still 13th, still trailing Perez, so we'll just speed things up a tiny little bit here until he sort of gets on the back of Perez, gaining on him ever so slowly, although he was quicker on that last lap, although we gained time on him. And these tyres not even cooling down at all like this. We see some other cars starting to cool their tyres down, so we're going to go in backup mode for at least a lap. Try cool these down and then we can go back into medium. Sorokin still 17th. I don't think we're going to start seeing some of the top of the order pitting in a few laps, and these are back almost out of the red zone. They're not in danger of overheating too much, but we see Kubica's almost at the level of these tyres overheating. We've got no real room to push to get past Perez, so we'll just sort of hold back for a second. We are on, and we see the two Renaults pit really early as they usually do. We're just going to sort of hang on to the back of Perez because we're going to try and make this undercut work on him. He's the only way we can sort of get into the points if we get past Perez. Grosjean might be out of touch, but there's a couple that could be doing two-stop strategies that we might be able to target with Kubica. So Sorokin, meanwhile, is in 15th place. Just going normally for him, everything. So we've cooled these down a little bit. We'll go conserve for a lap this time. 125.1s as we just sort of recover what we're doing at the moment, and then we'll switch this back up to medium. Sorokin now 13th. We've seen Magnussen in the Haas, Raikkonen out last in the Ferrari. Not a good season for Raikkonen at all this season, but we do have a potential of points this season. We're getting towards the points where the soft tyre can go on the car, so a good job from Kubica with his super soft tyre as well. So we can get it down to 10%. Should we start pushing now on this tyre, and then we've sort of got a chance of getting towards Perez. He's 1.2 seconds in front. If we can do 2 laps whilst pushing these tyres all out, would we be able to catch Perez up and then dive into the pits? And these tyres are overheating of Sorokin. We want to try and get those as far as we can. But Sorokin now in 11th place as we see a lot of cars start filing into the pits. Kubica, we've got one more lap to do here. We're going to get out in front of some of the cars that have decided to pit earlier as well, some of the top of the order. It looks like some of these might be going for 2 stoppers. Magnussen and Raikkonen definitely, because they've come back out onto these Ultra Softs, which not really a good choice for this race, unless you're so quick that it doesn't really matter about doing the 2 stop. But we're going to get Kubica lined up this pit stop. Just a risk on the tyres, but I think the time factor is worth it of having that guy in there who's potentially could make a mistake. We're not really slowing down too much here, so we're going to go push mode on the new soft tyres that are going into the car. And these tyres have just hit the wall as we approach this last corner. It might not have worked out for us trying to drag the extra lap out. Kubica comes back out into 19th place. We're going to push. What are we behind? Perez is all the way out there in the front, so we've slowed down something shocking then. Might not have worked out for us at all. Try to go that extra lap so we could push out of the pits. think it might be 15% for the middle compound tyre before it starts falling away. So we might have just messed up Kubica's chance of points, but can't do what about it now. But we've got Sorokin pushing. We need him to be able to get lap 13, 2 more laps on this soft tyre, which is easily doable. Sorokin managed 13, just about, so about 12 laps. So we've got some room to start pushing in overtake mode with this tyre now and keep Sorokin here. So if we just speed up a little bit, we're just sort of seeing if Kubica can sort of get back to where... Although Perez has pitted. Has he pitted? Where is he? No, he's in first. He still hasn't pitted. So Perez is leading this race. We're 26 seconds behind him. We'll be able to see how much time we lost pretty soon. Although, are we gaining? Gaining a tiny little bit, making that time back up to Perez. So Sorokin, currently 6th place. He's pushing all out at the moment. His last lap was a 1:23.3. Is he quickest on the track at the moment? Other than Brendan Hartley, who's just come out on a fresh pair of softs, Sorokin is the quickest man on track at the moment. He's got 1 more lap to do on these soft tyres, and the tyres have overheated of Robert Kubica now, so we're going to have to get him back in conserve mode. Is Sorokin able to go any quicker on this last lap? No, he's doing about the same time as he was on the last lap, so he's going to line up now to get into and onto this super soft tyre. Go balance, hopefully there's not going to be a mistake here. He's got a good chance of coming out. He's going to be out in front of Hartley. He's going to be behind Kubica once we come out of the pits. So Sorokin here is going to start filing into the pits. And who's in front of him? That's Pierre Gasly. Can we do a good pit stop without a mistake? No mistakes. And we've caught ground a little bit, but not too much. We sort of have to watch after this super soft tyre now. So Kubica is now 16th. We're still waiting for Ericsson Leclerc. Perez out a very long time on this soft tyre. He's going... don't know how far he's going to go on this soft tyre. He's 29% left. He could still do another few laps on that. And he's possibly going to come out from the ultra softs as well. He's not going to bode well for us. And we're not really gaining any time to him at the moment. This soft tyre can go till 0% and not really lose any time, as we just saw with Sorokin. Who's now just looking after this. 11 laps, we need to go back into medium as well. Got about just enough time to recover that before the end of the race. We're dropping behind Sergio Perez, who's on a... yeah, so let's just keep going for a little bit like this. We need to try and gain some of that ground back up. Not in a good position here at all after the hard work was from Kubica was outdone. Pretty much by us leaving him out 1 lap too long. Tried to risk it so we had some room to push on these soft tyres. Hasn't worked out for us at all. The Force India, where is he going to be coming out of the pits? Perez is in the pits. He's going to get out pretty far up the order again. Perez gets back out into 7th place. Kubica though, he's back on for points, as could Sorokin be on for points as well. Because some of these are going to be pitting for a second time, although maybe not, maybe not. They've gone for the super softs. We've already seen the cars do their second stops that needed to. Hamilton though does need to stop again, although we're outside his limit. Yeah, so 11th and 13th we're at the moment. I don't think we're going to be able to do much about that. We're 3 seconds behind a McLaren at the moment, unless anyone has problems with the car. I don't think we're going to be in a position to sort of pick these back up. Kubica, meanwhile, we've got to try and cool this tyre down a little bit, so then we can get pushing on it, although Gasly is going to be coming back at us. So we didn't actually lose that much time. Perez put in some outstanding laps when he was on that, when he was making that soft tyre go really long. Could have possibly been around here, but Force India though will be picking up more points. Puts us too far behind him to make any sort of... We won't be able to pick up that ground in the last 2 races unless we somehow have both our cars finish on or near about the podium. Obviously that's not going to be happening here, so we're just in recovery mode and managing mode with all these tyres, so let's go ahead and speed things up. Don't think we're going to be seeing much about anything going on in this Grand Prix. We could get Sorokin past Gasly if we push it super soft, although then I would be worried about it not making it to the end of the race. And these tyres of Kubica are starting to heat up too much as well, so let's try to cool those down for a little bit. And we've got Sorokin, he's got no chance of really catching the quicker Toro Rosso. What's the form like of Gasly? Can we actually go ahead and see 8.7 Gasly's on amazing form as well? So it would be a decent finish if we can keep Sorokin in 13th place. Obviously, everyone behind us is lacking about the same. I would guess 124. Or actually, no, we've got some cars here doing about a second quicker. Obviously, they're pushing their tyres a little bit more than us. Obviously, once they get back to this point, I'm guessing they're going to have to stop pushing this tyre. Because look, he's gone all out on that tyre. So if he does come back, then we're going to have to push all out on our tyre as well. And maybe that's going to wreck our tyre before the end of the race. But I sort of want to hold on to this 11th and 13th place. It would be a good finish for us if we can manage this around here. Especially after qualifying 18th and 20th. If we can just hold on to this, maybe if we go back to neutral now, we can sort of start getting there. And we're back almost out of the red, so we'll go back to neutral with Kubica. Got a long way to the McLaren in front, so we just sort of holding position now to the end of the race. So we might as well just keep it like this for the last few laps, although there is some room to push, although there's no real need to push. But we do need to sort of recover this fuel as well. And that is one of the problems we've got. We're going to recovery mode and try and recover the fuel towards the end of the race. We'll try to set this camera up so we can see both cars. That's as low as we can go. Yeah, so not a bad race. We're approaching, I think this is the penultimate lap now. Just one more lap to go after this. We've got no real chance of catching Gasly. His tyres overheated now. So we just have to watch Sorokin go around. Yes, so we know it's the final lap. The tyres have overheated for Kubica, but he can stay like that as well. Sorokin though, coming back at Gasly. Should we switch? Should we give it one last blow for this lap? It doesn't matter if Sorokin really loses this race. We'll give him the opportunity to go for it on the last lap. 0.4 seconds behind Gasly. It's on a tyre that's more worn than ours as well. Although we don't really have the fuel to push it, do we? We can't go into push mode on the fuel. His tyre's possibly going to wear away, but Gasly's is going to wear away. Can we get him? No. Gasly gets a run off that last corner, which hasn't helped us out. We're going to have a little bit of room. Can we switch it up to high mode for a second? No, Gasly's pulling away now. Somehow on a tyre that's worse than ours, he pulls away. Kubica has finished 11th. Sorokin comes across the line in 13th. Not too bad of a finish from him. Well, not bad at all considering we started the race 18th and 20th to get up those 7 places for both cars. Kubica 11th, Sorokin 13th. Vettel wins the race. I think, well, that definitely is the championship for him. Vettel will be confirmed drivers' champion. We just got to check scrutineering to make sure no one was demoted. No, they weren't. And luckily we don't get into the points. So Vettel now 43 points ahead. Well, he's not officially champion, because Lewis Hamilton would still have the chance if he won both of the last races and Vettel finished outside the points, but it's pretty safe to say that Vettel has got the championship rounded up. Meanwhile, it's still close between the Mercedes and the Ferrari. I would expect Mercedes to take the Constructors' crown just because Raikkonen seems to be having a real nightmare at the moment, and as we can see, we're now 37 points behind Force India, so not much to gain there, although we do still have some incentive over the last 2 races to stay above Haas. The Haas team, if we can do that, that would be absolutely great. But although I'm not sure what our form's going to be like over the next 2 races. If we qualify like we did today, then it's going to be a lot harder going into those final 2 races. But hopefully we can pick something up. Obviously we didn't have Lance Stroll in the car in practice. He will be back for practice next time, so we'll be making a little bit more money on the next race. He seems to have been injured quite a few times this season. Callum Ilott winning the Drivers' Championship at the moment in the ART car. ART comfortably. So there's going to be 2 ART teams in Formula 2 next season. Giuliano Alesi won that race even though he's got a black eye. I'm not sure what that would affect. Daniel Bettman in second. I think Illett's won that pretty comfortably, hasn't he? Yeah, there's just one more race left, and ART have won the championship in GP3. Let's just have a look at the... We'll remove fatigue fit crew to start with. And have we got anyone decent? Refueling, no, that's not even a factor here. We've got enough decent rear jack guys that we don't need to hire him. He looks like he could be decent backup because he's good with the front jack and on tyres as well. So we'll go ahead and hire him. Meanwhile, we'll switch over to the mail. Interview with Sky Sports. Yes, I'd love to have... I think we've already got him buttered up. But he's buttered up even more now, so we would be able to take Vettel if we wanted to, although that's a little too unrealistic. And I wonder what sort of... he's rated as the best driver now. Fernando Alonso has started dropping... Oh no, he's not started dropping away, he's just got a dodgy neck, which seems to be a common occurrence to everyone this season. What would Vettel be asking for if he went in and actually offered him a contract? Wages are important to me, so he would be asking for 1.6 million per race. That is a lot of money, considering at the moment we make money on our drivers. If we had him in a team, I don't know what that would do to our finances if we had that. Just crazy. So this engine is going to be finished in 9 hours, so we'll just get that finished and we'll go on to build in the first of the rear wings that we're going to build for the end of the season. Obviously plus 25, this plus 40. We're just going for the ones that just add these, and so another plus 40 there. And then if we can get another one of these built, and then we've got our cars pretty much, although we could add a fifth one in, couldn't we? We could go this, and then this one with another decent front wing. But what have we got at the moment? What's doing? Oh, that's plus 40 to max, isn't it? That's why. So yeah, so it is, that can do an 872, that can do an 887. So we can do this one and then build another one with this one as well, which will give us another plus 20, which will go a long way next season, as the rear wings are worst part this season. So I think we can actually just... No, I think we'll leave it there and pick up with what we're doing with the rear wings next time. Yeah, because it's a long way. It's 17 days we've got till the next Grand Prix. So we've got that new engine now built. Let's just fit that to the car as it is at the moment, then it'll tell us where we are in the list. Still third with that engine, although we've still got some room to improve it. So I'll just get that back out of the car so we don't use it in the next race. So don't forget to take it out. But anyway, that is it for this episode, part 15 over and done with. We've got 2 races left this season. We've got Dubai coming up next time, and then we'll be finishing. We'll do it from here. We've got Dubai coming up next time, and then we've got the Oval for the season finale in Phoenix. So hopefully that's going to be a decent race. Hopefully the Dubai race is going to be decent. Maybe we can qualify a little bit better. Obviously the engine is crucial for both of these. Phoenix we might struggle at because rear wing is crucial as well. We don't have the best rear wing. But here we've got front wing and suspension, which we're not the best overall, but we're not the worst. Oh, we are with suspension though, but the front wing's not too bad. So we might be able to perform well in Dubai. I'm not holding up hopes for the oval track at the end of the season, at least for this season. Hopefully next season we're going to be a lot stronger there. But anyway, that is it. Subscribe, like, follow me on Twitter, go to my website, iamfuzzyface.com, whatever you want to do. But until next time, I'll see you down the road in Dubai, and goodbye.